All right, we are live on our Tuesday Red Room. I'm here with Luke, as always, and this is, as always, being streamed on the Phoenix RIA, Tuesday Phoenix RIA, the Viking Brothers YouTube channel, the Just for Flips YouTube channel, and on Luke's personal page. Again, we try to bring you all things real estate, some fun little things in the market. And I don't know how close anybody's paying attention to the Phoenix market, but I can tell you that last week the 10-year hit 5, and it has slowly been ticking down. The jobs report helped it Friday for sure, and now we've dropped to basically 4.5. And then obviously there's the margin between the 10-year and what actual rates are. So the margin had creeped to 3. So you had the 10-year at 5, the margin at 3, you had 8% mortgages, right? And what's great about the downward cycle of the 10-year is the 10-year is decreasing and it's to 4.5, and the margin is also decreasing to about 2.5. So now you're seeing 7% mortgages. Which is great, and it'll continue to do that. And the reason for that is the margin gets so high when you're at the highest peak of the 10-year or mortgage rates, because they know if they take an 8% mortgage, you're going to refinance them as soon as it hits 6.5, and they don't like to be refinanced in a year. So a little tip about the Phoenix market: it had been steady climbing inventory since basically September 1. Yeah. We saw it go from 11,100. We saw it hit a peak of 15,900, and now it's back down to 15,500.
Hey, so there we go. All right.
Our first week of non-climbing inventory, which is obviously a plus for you buyers and obviously a plus for those fix and flippers who Thank are God. Sitting on the inventory.
God. Let's let that number just keep dropping down.
Yeah. So obviously, as if that happens, we saw this. We've talked about this last year. We actually saw a very active December, which usually doesn't happen because it's Christmas time, and we could see that again if rates keep ticking down. We could see that spring market just kind of spring forward into December, which never hurts anybody's feelings.
For sure.
So, but today we got Bobby Suarez on, and he is the king of South Florida.
There we go.
He is I mean, I don't know the wholesalers in the market of South Florida like I know the wholesalers in the market in Phoenix, but we were just talking a little bit about his history. But he is on the commercials. His commercial basically says Bobby buys houses.
Nice.
Which for you Phoenix people, that would be, and he's in our mastermind together with us. That's similar to Doug Hopkins, as you know. Doug's all over the commercials. Bobby's just kind of his equivalent here in South Florida. Since I'm in South Florida so much, I get to see. Well, I'm flipping through the channels. I get to see Bobby on the commercials all the time.
There we go. And then Bobby, is it you that's doing the commercials?
I am, yes.
Heck yeah.
Yeah. So we were just talking about that. So you were a loan officer when you started, and then you kind of did the hedge fund stuff, and then you said you got into direct to seller acquisitions in like 2014.
So in 2014, I left the single family rental space. We were representing hedge funds, and I worked in their acquisitions team, finding deals for the hedge funds. So in 2014, I started doing my own deals, fixing and flipping. I honestly didn't even know what wholesaling was. Then I kind of stumbled into wholesaling. We put a deal under contract. I sent it to my title company, and he suggested, hey, man, you should send it to this other guy. He was a local wholesaler here. His name is Nick Ferrante in South Florida. And then that's when I figured out wholesaling, and then I figured that out. I started doing a lot of direct-to-seller marketing. I started learning a lot from other guys in the industry and things like that.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So then, this show is kind of about marketing. So let's talk about your marketing strategies as you started. So after you left that, you'd mentioned that you jumped into mail and cold calling.
Well, right after I left on my own, I started off scrubbing the MLS for deals.
Yeah.
A free lead source for me.
Yep.
So I would get 1 to 2 deals there a month. until the MLS started drying up. Then we started doing direct to seller, like direct mail, and I started doing also some cold calling.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we ended up opening a cold call office in Nicaragua overseas. Had probably like 10 cold callers at one point, and that was probably my number one lead source till about 2019, which is right about when we started running TV ads and we
Cool.
up some other marketing channels.
All right. So, and now, I mean, obviously, you have your commercials. I've never been brave enough to jump on the commercial because I know it's, I mean, it's got to be over 100,000. I don't. You don't have to tell me, but it's. I know. I heard Doug's number is like 300,000 or 400,000. I don't know if that's accurate, but it's
Right.
I know it's expensive. There's another local guy in our market that spends about 250 a month in marketing, but I mean, it's probably the biggest part of your expense, right?
It is.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I mean, probably combined between all our marketing channels, right now we're a little under 200 grand.
Okay.
So we got at one point we got up to $250,000, but we've kind of been scaling it down a little bit just because
Right.
the market is a little weird right now.
When did you start scaling it back down again a little bit?
Just a few months ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For
Yeah,
sure.
just like all of us, we were running hot and heavy, and it just comes into like, hey, the market's slower. We need to start looking at budgets, right? So,
yeah. Now, Bobby, did you notice a huge drop off last year in 2022 or no?
No, man. So last year we had a great year, and this year actually we're having an even better year. It's going to be a record year for us. So thank God revenue hasn't slowed down like I've been hearing in other parts of the country. Like I know in the West Coast, people down big time, even in the Midwest. In South Florida, man, it feels like the music hasn't stopped here.
Pitbull's still playing.
Oh yeah. Our rehabs are still selling relatively fast. Our wholesales, our buyers, they're still buying.
Right.
But we haven't really seen a big slowdown. What I have noticed though is on the lower income properties, they are sitting longer. And believe it or not, those are the ones that I thought would be selling faster, and they're the ones that are taking longer to sell. Things under 400 grand.
That's super interesting because we're the complete opposite. We're anything that's sub 400 is still flying off the shelves. And then where we're seeing the biggest slowdown is in that 500 to 900 range. And then anything that's considered luxury, that's going to be the million and over. That's still moving pretty decent as well.
Yeah, like we just listed a house here in a suburb here in Miami. It's in a community called Kendall, and we listed it at 680. Within a few days, we got over 10 offers. Three of them were cash buyers that are obviously they're end users.
Yeah.
We ended up going with a cash offer and closed, within a few weeks. But honestly, I was surprised. So, and obviously things under 400 are still moving, but I guess it depends on the neighborhood, right? Because here when it's under 400, it's probably in a rougher part of town.
Okay.
So I think those people have gotten hit a little bit hard on, with all the changes in the economy and all that and the interest rates.
Right. I know it's interesting because, I mean, we're, trying to figure out exactly why we believe, certain markets have slowed and certain markets have been perfectly fine, or certain price points, I'm sorry. And I mean, we were kind of thinking like, realistically why the sub 400 has been okay is because, when that interest rate goes from 6% to 8%, it's not as big of a change for them where maybe their payment goes up $700, right? Or something like that, $800. A lot of times people can still manage that. You know what I mean? If you're jumping that much, where a lot of times at those price points of say you were, at 800 grand or something like that, and you go from a 5 or 6 to that same 8, you're looking at a jump of, maybe it's close to $2,000, and it's like that's a big difference. Then you know what I mean? That's a huge difference, and so it's that's what we believe why it's slowed down. And then the luxury, they just a lot of times they buy cash anyway, So
that's what I was about to tell you. I was just talking offline now with Chris, where I have a house near his house, but it's in a little bit more north of him in Pompano Isles.
Yeah.
I was checking a lot of the comps, man. Well, for Airbnb, it's a terrible business, by the way. But on the resale, if you're for end users, and almost all the sales there have all been to cash buyers. It's incredible.
Yeah. Right.
So those guys ain't worried about interest rates.
And is that end users or is that investors coming in
So
just
those
to
are
buy them up?
end users.
End
Yeah.
users, right?
Yeah, the Northeast is moving to the Southeast and to South Florida.
Yeah. And California is coming to Arizona. Well, at least they were the last 5 years.
Yeah, that's what I've been.
So not everybody can jump into the TV marketing aspect. Let's jump into what other channels you're using for marketing other than your TV.
Yeah, so we're also doing PPC, which is Google AdWords.
Yeah.
Yep.
And we also do the billboards from time to time when I get good deals on them. But honestly, I don't expect much from it, so we do it mainly for cross marketing and for brand recognition.
Yeah.
And we just turned on direct mail with our CG buddies in California from Phil Green's team.
Okay.
Cool.
So you just set up a mail house and you're gonna just shoot them over the data and they're gonna are you doing postcards? Are you doing letters?
So they have a service where they handle everything for me. So I buy the data from 80/20, which is one of the data providers, and they are gonna handle everything for me.
Okay.
They're gonna do letters. I know they're gonna do those letters that have now the checks on them. We're gonna do a combination of postcards. They're gonna handle everything for me.
Gotcha. We'll have to circle back around with you and see how that's going on. Are you doing any more cold calling or shut down the call center?
Yeah. So I in 2019 I completely shut down anything that was outbound type marketing, and I'm only focusing now on inbound.
Cool.
And honestly, I did it for multiple reasons, and the main reason was to simplify my life.
Yeah.
When I had the cold calling, office over there in Central America, I had to constantly be buying new data, skip tracing. I was worried if I'm going to get sued for calling people I wasn't probably supposed to be calling. Man, it was just, honestly, it was a hassle. So I wanted to simplify life. I didn't want to have to worry about buying data. So that's why I switched it over to inbound marketing specifically.
Gotcha.
Absolutely.
And just a little follow-up. If you've never done any cold calling or texting, you got to go pull the data from like an 80/20. You got to go skip trace it and pay your 10 to 12 cents a piece. I don't know what the current market is, but 10 to 12 cents. Then you have your cold callers. And Luke, as Luke has told you multiple times on this show, that's a 120-day cycle for a contract?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the follow-up, the amount of, touches you have to have. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, obviously, don't get me wrong. You get those quick hitters where they're ready to rock and roll right away. But no, I mean, majority of your deals, and especially majority of your good deals, they take some nurturing.
Is that still your number one lead source, or is that your main lead source?
It used to be cold calling. So it was cold calling from about 2015 till probably about 2020. And then in all honesty, the last year and a half to 2 years has been, it's actually been social media and wholesalers. Cause we got we got louder on social media and kind of let people know what we're doing and where we're buying and whatnot. And so, since we did that, we've been having a lot of deals that just get sent to us now. And we always perform, so we let people know, obviously, we're a good buyer and we'll perform every time. And so, by doing that, what we were able to do is we were able to kind of dial it back on our marketing a ton, because obviously, that's free marketing, right? I mean, aside from what we pay our social media manager. So once we kind of started going that route, it pushed more deals through our pipeline with no marketing.
Are you getting like other deals from other wholesalers or from from direct to seller? Okay.
Yeah. Mainly other wholesalers, but I mean, obviously we still buy from Chris. We buy from some of the other big dispo companies here. But the difference is since we kind of really started getting active and letting people know what we do, where we buy and all that, we get first dibs at a lot of stuff now, because they know that we're a good buyer in those markets. And Chris and I, we'll partner on flips together. We just closed one up last week. So yeah, so just again, just getting loud. It's been good.
Yeah, he basically, like, if you're being in South Florida, like he works a lot of small markets, i.e., like maybe the Keys or something like that.
Right.
So he might know every little buyer in Key West, and so now with his social media marketing, he's got the big metro right there, and he's like, hey, I'm flipping this one in the Keys and all that, and social media, and he's and now everybody's like, hey, if they get a deal in Key West, they send it to him. So.
Exactly.
Love it.
Yeah, so it's been kind of cool to carve a little niche out like that, and on social media too. We're also very active with posting like the projects that we have going, the finished project, the before and afters, all of that. So it just keeps it lets people know that you're actually doing what you're saying you're doing. Because there's people out there, Chris and I know them. There's people out there that get loud and they'll say, "Oh, I'll buy anything," but they're not a real buyer. All they're trying to do is just kind of move it. So
yeah, we recently started investing some money also into social media, but not really into like ads specifically.
Right.
Into building my personal brand.
For sure.
I hired like a personal branding guy, and he also helped me set up my podcast, which I'm gonna have Chris on hopefully soon.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, man, it's let's see, it's interesting. We've definitely gotten some stuff come through it, but nothing significant yet. So we'll see.
Right. For sure. It's like everything else, right? It just takes a little bit of time.
Gotta build it, man. Yeah.
Yep, exactly. And that's us. I mean, it took us a few years to really, get it to the level it's at now, which is not even a crazy level, but we know that it's been a big difference for sure.
Awesome.
Yeah. So where you get so you kind of, when we talked, there was a little bit slower, but you said that the volume of leads isn't quite coming in as heavy, but you're still, obviously doing well. Are you switching any gears to less wholesaling, more fix and flipping? Or are you still trying to keep it the same? Or
as of right now, I'm not making any sudden changes. I'm keeping it the same.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's only been over the last few weeks where our lead count has significantly gone down. But thank God we're still our lead managers are able to convert more appointments than normal. Honestly, over the last few weeks, so we haven't really felt a big slowdown.
Yeah.
And as far as wholesaling, fixing, and flipping, our model's been the same. We haven't really adjusted anything over the last few years.
Yeah.
What I do, a deal comes in, and I try to keep light rehabs or deals that I know I'm going to net over $100,000.
Yeah.
Their expenses, and then we wholesale the rest.
Cool.
So curious is you mentioned that just recently, but is that, have you looked over the last 4 years? Is that typical for November, December? Because just thinking, well, when that processed through my head, I'm like, that could be very typical for November, December.
It's never been this slow over the last few years during this era. Yeah, like last week we got 39 leads, for example, from TV, which is nothing.
Right.
In 1 week, right?
What's the normal lead count for a week?
80, 90.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Huh.
So it's definitely a big slowdown.
Yeah.
And then, Bobby, what percentage would you say you personally that you do of, let's say, wholesale versus fix and flip? And then do you guys also have any other extra strategies? Do you do creative? Do you do novations? Do you go for listings for if you've got a traditional side or anything?
So we don't do creative. We implemented novations in May.
Cool.
It's been good for us.
Yeah.
This year we'll probably do over $1 million just from novations.
Oh, that's awesome.
So it's great, man. I remember I did a novation deal 3 years ago when one of the guys in our mastermind spoke about it. And it was kind of like by mistake, dude. And I'm like, man, this thing's such a pain in the ass. I hope I don't ever have to do it again.
Yeah.
So I kind of ignored it, which I made the mistake of ignoring it. And I got back into it this year. And thank God we did.
Heck yeah, that's awesome.
We're converting a lot of deals that obviously they don't work.
Yeah.
Deal, but they're kind of like in the in between.
Plenty of those.
So and then also what we do is, I know guys, they don't put any money into their novations, but we tend to put a little bit of money and spruce the house up. We put a couple $1,000s into it. I don't know what you guys do, if that's a similar business model or not, but yeah. So we do, to answer your question, 10% I would say is probably fix and flip, and the rest is between wholesale and novations.
For sure. For sure.
Yeah.
Nice. That's awesome. So yeah, you guys are definitely rolling with the innovations then.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, for us, well, when we do innovations, we're exactly like you said. Everyone is just so different. We've had ones where we'll come in and just clean it up, exactly like you said, stage them, and throw it up. We've also had some where they're already pretty damn clean, so they didn't have to do too much to them, and you know what I mean. Just literally just list it, because if you know it's in a great area or something like that. So it just depends on the property for sure.
Yeah, well, it's great to just, I mean, if you have all the different tools in the toolbox, like we've kind of always said, is just like, because not everything can go through the wholesale fix and flip channel. They're just some you just can't buy it at that price. It doesn't fit in the box. So hey, if you can.
Sorry to interrupt. I don't know how guys are able to run a wholesale or fix and flip operation, honestly, without doing innovations now in this market.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Oh, yeah. In this market, for sure. There's no doubt about it.
And I definitely want to get into it also, creative finance. It's just that I don't know if it's a limited belief, but I don't see a lot of opportunities in South Florida for that. Again, I don't know, Chris, is correct me if I'm wrong or not. Are you doing any creative here in Florida or mainly in Arizona?
No, I've got done a couple creative deals here in Florida, and it does. I mean, it doesn't. If you're willing to offer someone 8% financing they can't get that 8% financing, it moves. And I literally just listed a Phoenix one that it was a little higher priced. It was out in Buckeye, which is kind of one of our outskirts, kind of out there. And I listed it was a 440, and I've got 3 buyers in like the first 2 days, and I listed it 8.5%. And
there we go.
Yeah. And then if you give me 15% down, I'm going to give you an 8% mortgage, because at 15% down, that'll bring my my cash out of pocket to like $10,000, and I'll make $1,000 a month. So I'll recover my $10,000 in months, and then I'll just make $1,000 a month if it goes 5 years, I got another 50 months at $1,000 a month.
Oh, for sure.
So,
and is that something that you're tying up at a lower, like you're taking over the seller's mortgage?
Yeah, I got it at, I basically gave the guy 410. He'd already moved out. He'd already moved out of state. And then finally the agent it was listed on MLS, wasn't going anywhere. And I'm just like, they're like, hey, will you buy this? Once again, I can't get to their price. And I'm like, what's the interest rate? Once again, they were behind on their mortgage, so they're knocking on that foreclosure door.
Yep.
And I gave them 410, and it was sitting on MLS at 440. The agent took 10, so he got 400. His mortgage was, call it, this 340 and change, which call it 340. So he got 60 grand in his pocket. He's already moved out of state, by the way. He's gone. He's not even.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think his intent, his mindset was probably just let the thing go. Now instead his agent calls me and said, what can we get done? And I think he called his guy and said, hey, you're out of state. You're already gone. But this guy will give you $60,000 right now. He was probably, foreclosure had started. He was on the way.
Right.
So I think he had given up on the equity, but he's like, hey, let him take over. And, the agent got paid, because if it forecloses, what does the agent get? A big zero.
Yeah.
And this seller gets a call like, this guy will give you $60,000. That's
done.
And I literally I turned on the water. I turned on the power. I spent $504 in carpet cleaning, $250 in a cleaning crew, and I relisted it at 440 2 days ago, and I got 3 buyers.
That's awesome.
And Chris, that deal's not worth for you to keep it like long term, because does it cash flow, or you're better off just selling it?
It'd probably be a break even, but I'd be out that 60 grand, and right now
if you're breaking even.
Huh?
It's not worth it if you're breaking even and you're out 60 grand.
Yeah. So now I can sell it with terms, and I basically I just say, hey, just on the thing, it says my daughter is the listing agent. It says seller will finance terms, and then when they call, it's like, hey, it's 440 with 15% down, and that's so 15% down on 440 is like 66,000. I got to pay my two of them just called off the sign, and so I'm going to pay my daughter some commission, but that's it. I'm done.
Right.
I send it off to Fidelity Title to service it, and I forget about it.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, I love it.
And how does it work with the insurance? With
So
does it have to be under the seller's name, or you're actually putting it under like a?
So one of the piece of papers is a power of attorney or a specific power of attorney that gives me the ability to offer me to the insurance. So we get put on the insurance as additionally insured. So if the house burns down, number one rule of doing any creative finance, don't cancel the insurance, because that's going to trigger the mortgage company to start looking around. You know that your new buyer my new buyer is getting his own insurance on the house, but I'm leaving my insurance in place because, I don't want to trigger the mortgage company.
Right.
So we just add ourselves to additionally insured, and then we just have our buyer gets insurance, so the house is kind of doubly insured. But I don't want to trigger the mortgage company. I just leave the payment, the PITI in place, make the mortgage payment. It's with Lakeview Financial. Add myself as additionally insured, and then the new buyer just I still send another trick, guys. If you're offering financing, send them to a loan officer to make sure they qualify. You can't offer you can't offer people financing and just turn your head. If you're you need to make sure that they qualify for a mortgage. There's a big 2012 called QM law, qualified mortgage law, that makes sure that people can qualify for mortgages, so we don't have the foreclosure meltdown again.
Right.
So yeah, those are kind of the steps, and then and then I send it off to Fidelity and I forget about it.
That's great. I love it.
Seems too good to be true.
I know, right? No kidding. It's like you hear some of these people that have like 100 of those or a couple hundred of those, all lined up, and it's like, man, that's some serious cash flow coming in. That's pretty hands off. I mean, obviously, aside from the work that it takes to go up front, but I mean, other than that, man, that's it's easier than rental properties, that's for sure.
Yeah, you don't got to worry about changing anything, repairing anything, changing toilets.
Yeah.
The bad thing is you don't get the depreciation
for sure
for your taxes, but you get hands off and you get cash flow. As being a hard money lender, obviously, being a lender, you learn about leverage, and now all of a sudden you're leveraging, you're leveraging money that's not yours, right? So so it's a win-win. I think and the people getting the financing, it's a win for them. They're getting home ownership. I mean, they can refinance me at any time, and and I got a little bit of profit. I paid $410. I sold it for $440. I'm going to have like $10,000 in commissions there. So, at the end of the day, I have a little bit of equity over the note amount. I won't have any money. I'll have $10,000 in the deal, but I'll get that back in the first year. But at the end of the day, when it pays off, I still get a little bonus check of $20,000.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So,
Chris, what happens if something happens to the original seller? Do you need him again, or that person?
I get his login. I get power of attorneys on the property for the insurance and for the mortgage company, and I reach out to the sellers. I communicate with them like, hey, if you ever need a statement from Fidelity National Title to get you want to go get a new mortgage, reach out. I will get it to you in 24 hours.
Right.
I will. So you could be like, oh. Because, like I said, he was in foreclosure. He's not getting, remember, conventional, it didn't go through for foreclosure, but he got, but so conventional, he's at least 2 years. And FHA, he's at least probably 18 months. So he can't touch a mortgage for 18 months. So by the time 18 months hits and he's thinking about getting a new mortgage, reach back out to me. I'll call Fidelity. Actually, I can go to Fidelity Servicing online and just probably pull it out right there and just shoot it to him. And he can go get a new mortgage.
Right.
Awesome.
That's awesome. Yeah, I like it.
So yeah, it's my little investing strategy, and
Hey, it's been working for you.
yeah, keep
great.
it going.
Yeah,
Well, cool. Anybody has any questions for Bobby, shoot them over in the text message. Any thoughts on where South Florida's going, market, or
I honestly don't think it's gonna slow down in South Florida. I tell everybody South Florida is the mecca of the world. Everybody wants to be here.
right.
Jeff Bezos moving back to South Florida to Billionaires Row. Man, I don't see it slowing down anytime.
what's the soccer player's name?
Messi?
Messi. Yeah, that's right.
He just
Yeah, he's there. That's right.
where are you
He
at?
Yeah, he just bought in Bay Colony. I want to say like a half a mile from me, and I was sitting around this little happy hour, and they're all talking about their prices are now $3 to $4 million high. Like,
Oh, really?
yeah, 3 to 4 million. He's like, hey, like, I mean, he's like that. They were like, there was a house listed in there for 11 million, not selling. Messi moves in there, bidding war to 14
Gone.
million.
The Messi effect.
Oh yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah.
Is Tom Brady still there?
He is. I
Right.
think he's building a brand new house in Miami Beach.
Okay.
So yeah, man. I think he lives next to like Ivanka Trump.
That's awesome.
A-Rod.
Yeah.
But even like the regular like middle class like real estate, I don't see it going down, man.
Yeah.
There's just very little inventory. We still
Yeah.
have a deficit in the whole United States of 2 million homes. Everybody's moving to South Florida.
Yeah.
A lot of migration in here. I don't see it happening.
One taxes. I mean, give me a break.
Weather's great here.
Yeah. Right.
Just for that 8 months, you just have to watch it. Watch the Atlantic.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah, I'm definitely on edge. I don't have insurance on all my houses, so I'm worried.
Right. We don't worry about that too much in Arizona, but we also don't have the beaches.
Yeah.
We don't have that beauty. We got different beauty. We've got the nice sunsets.
In the mountains.
Yeah,
exactly.
and the weather too, man. When it's not extremely hot, I like
Yeah.
Arizona.
For sure.
Well, cool. Thanks for jumping on, Bobby. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Let me know when you want me to jump on yours. I'm happy to do so, and let's get together for dinner sometime soon. We'll talk about creative financing.
Yes, man. Got to
Love
definitely pick your brain on that more.
All right,
Thank you
sounds
for
good.
having me. Luke,
Yeah.
good to meet you.
Absolutely. You as well, Bobby. Appreciate you.
All right. Take care, guys.
Bye now.